Welcome to my GrandMA3 or GrandMA3 masterclass. I'm joking. I learned this stuff like 2 weeks ago. If you don't know what GrandMA is, it's basically the leading lighting software or operating system that's used in anything relating to lights you can think of, like festivals, arenas, concert festivals, you name it. This is the software that the pros are using. So I thought to myself, we have this lying around at the venue I do lights at. I should just learn this, just to learn something new and future-proof myself. So I sat down the last 2 weeks, built my own show file, basically emulating the Avolites show file that I have. And I realized that it's better to spend my time as a person who does lights on the side, better to learn what the pros are using just to open up as many possibilities and opportunities. And I've learned that this software is really freaking powerful, way better than Avolites, and I've already been told, yeah, once you use GrandMA, you're gonna hate all the other lighting console systems. So yeah, it's probably true. I'm gonna try to give a bit of a rundown about how I built this file, and I think I'm not gonna do a good job, but let's try anyways. So the first thing that I will do when my show file opens, is I'll hit the initialize variable macro, which basically just makes a bunch of variables which are going to be used in a lot of macros. It's better to create variables for numbers that are consistent instead of putting those numbers directly into macros, so I can easily change this stuff later in just one macro instead of going through every macro. And let's say, I'll kind of give you an idea of how this works. So let's say I want all spots. You can see they've all been selected in yellow here. I only have this layout view. I don't have a 3D view just because, I don't know, I couldn't be bothered. I can see this at the venue just fine. I want all the spots to be blue. You can see nothing happened, but that's because there's no sequence where the spots are active. Now they are active in this left to right chase, which I made. This chase actually only works for the stage spots. I can also turn on a chase which applies to the hall spots. So now you can see they're all blue. I can make the spots in the hall orange. So you can see now these are flashing orange, these are flashing blue. I can make all of the Hercules, which is the name of the fixture. I really should change the name to Wash. I can make all of those green. Of course we don't see it because I didn't turn on a sequence which has them. The Hall Hercules currently don't have a color applied. By default it's just black, so you don't see any color appearing, but I can select them and apply, let's just say, magenta. Now I've got all of this happening. How wonderful. And something I can do, I have a tempo tap. All of my sequences here are listening to Speedmaster 1. So if I just tap something, you can see all of the sequences are moving faster. If I tap slower, they move slower, of course. And something which I am quite proud of is I've set all of my spots to have, basically, there's a thing called tags, which I'll show you here. There are these tags. I made a tag called rate scale, trig time A, Q fade A, trig time B, Q fade B, bump fade, off Q fade, picker fade. These are all applied to certain sequences. So any sequence which has spots involved will have trig time B and Q fade B as a tag. Any sequence involving the washes will have Q fade A and trig time A tag. And all sequences here will have rate scale tag. And this is important because I have these macros here, which basically when I click them, if I do rate scale times 4, you'll see everything has just moved faster here by 4 times the speed. That's because this macro has set any sequence with the tag rate scale right here to multiply by 4. Sorry, this is the property and the tag is right here, but this tag has been set in the initialized variable macro, and as you can see it says rate scale. So I can slow down all of my stuff. I just did divide by 4. Now it's moving slower, and this is changing the speed of everything. Let's reset it to times 1 so it's back at a normal speed. And I can change the speed of all sequences which have the tag trig time A. Let's make it times 4. Let's also do Q fade A times 4. So you can see my Hercules chase is moving faster, but the spot chases are the same. That's because only my Hercules sequences have the trig time A and Q fade A tag. The others have Q fade B, trig time B, and I can change the speed of that by doing this, hitting those. Now they're all going faster. I can make this slower. Now the situation has been reversed. And again, overall, this will change the speed of everything in proportion to what the tags are set. And all of these macros, I'm not actually tapping these during a show. I have another set of sequences right here which refer to those macros which I was tapping right here. And these sequences are mapped to my encoders in the top left. So I can just turn the knob right or left to speed up or slow down the relevant property. That's the thing I'm most proud of about this file, and I'm proud of it. Well, I don't use phasers, and every sequence I have is, a cue actually stored. I just haven't touched phasers yet, so I'm sure my approach might be a little bit different if I were using phasers. My approach would be different if I wasn't building a busking file, period. But yeah, that's the thing I'm mostly am proud of when I was figuring this out, is how do I change the speed and tempo, make sure everything is on beat. I've got obviously these group masters. Let me show this instead. This will limit the output of the relevant fixtures. And yeah, let's talk about the picker. First of all, let's make everything a normal speed again. So I'm only tapping it here because I don't have the command wing in front of me, which I would be changing those settings there. I have this, can change all of the Hercules to whatever, CB. I named these kind of weird, they make sense to me, but these are just colors. How did that apply? Normally in MA3, you have to, like when you tap a group and apply a color, it's only applied in the programmer, and once you clear the programmer, the color goes away. Well, these macros here, just to give a bit of a preview, are doing some funky stuff. It's all related to this. I don't even know where to begin in explaining this, but what I'm trying to do here, and what I've successfully done, is to emulate the Avolites style picker, like busking sort of thing, where you tap a group, you tap a color, and suddenly that color is applied to the group, and even when you clear the programmer, it still stays, that color still is applied. So I wanted to do that. Again, I'm coming from Avolites, so I'm trying to emulate my Avolites experience here. And basically I have my colors, and I have macros which refer to all of these colors, their respective colors. So when I tap the macro, not the color, and that's how I apply colors to groups of fixtures on the fly. Same thing for the gobos I have here, and like positions and some other stuff. And they are all applied, these properties like gobo or color or position, they're all applied to these picker sequences. I have like 100 of them. For some reason these are all stuck on the off cue, but that doesn't matter, they're still off. And as I tap and apply things and change stuff around, oh, I see what I did. I accidentally tapped the gobo. I should have tapped this. This, which was just applied to this picker sequence. Hold up. Yes. What the macro essentially did was apply a temporary group from the selection that I made into the selection here, and it applied the relevant property into the group recipe, or sorry, queue recipe, and these queue recipes are in all the sequences. And yeah, it's starting to get a little bit complicated. This is like 2 weeks of knowledge, maybe more weeks of knowledge crammed into one explanation. All of my picker related stuff is in data pool 2, which I've started using different data pools just to kind of organize stuff. So when I'm writing a macro, I'm not I'm referring to data pools rather than say like sequence or something like that, just because I don't know, but it works. Also, the last picker sequence I have, the final pick sequence, does something different. It refers to this macro here, which if I find right here, it will reset the pick count, because right now I've set this to 100 picks. So what happens when I make my 100th pick in a show? Well, it's just gonna loop back around to pick number 1, and I would think that by then, after having done 100 different selections and changes on the fly while busking, these first picks are no longer going to be active, because it's a latest takes priority type of deal where only the latest pick for the relevant fixtures is going to apply. These are all actually set to swap priority, which is latest takes priority. It's just higher than even highest takes priority. That sounds confusing, but that's what it is. And yeah, these are my appearances. Another thing I've done, which I can't really show because I don't have the fixtures right in front of me, but I've got like tilt faders so I can change the tilt of my spots, and I've got a little let's say tilt phaser. These are the only phasers I have in my file right now, and they are, if I could possibly show you this, if I go to the position here, you'll see the tilt of this particular spot here is changing, and this one will be changing at a slightly different rate. It looks cool, you'll see in the videos recordings that I'm gonna put after I stop talking. I almost forgot to mention this. I have these flash buttons here, of course, just to accent certain things, so just like that. That's cool. I've also got the strobe. Here I can toggle strobe here. Which word? Oh, I guess you can't really see strobe in this visualizer, But I've got strobes set to some encoders so I can change the strobe speed. And yeah, these are my tilt faders. I don't think there's anything else to show. Nope, I've got tempo tap on a button, so that's how I tempo tap. And oh, I've got like a UV bump, so if I want to add UV to all of the fixtures which have UV, I can just turn that up here. And that's it. That's basically it. This was a lot. This was a lot for me to figure out, but I'm really proud of myself that I did do it, and I think it will really benefit me in, I'm gonna thank myself later that I have this knowledge now. And yeah, I'll just show you some recordings from my first 2 times I used this.
and now you're going to die.